You ordered a burger, it had pickles, and now you're emotionally traumatized. Welcome to Fast Food Drama Central, where people lose their minds because their ice was too cold, their fries were too hot, and their drive-thru speakers sounded judgmental. Today we're counting down 56 of the dumbest fast food complaints ever made. So dumb you'll wonder if humanity should be allowed near deep fryers again. And hey, and before someone comments, this video made me hungry but also angry, hit subscribe faster than a broken McFlurry machine beeps and drop a comment below. What's the dumbest fast food complaint you've ever heard? Best answer wins absolutely nothing, except our respect and maybe a free napkin. All right, let's dive in before someone complains this video was too entertaining. Over at a McDonald's in Florida, a guy is standing at the counter holding up his milkshake like he just discovered a crime. He's yelling that it isn't thick enough to be called a shake and demanding justice for his taste buds. The cashier keeps saying it's supposed to be drinkable, not spoonable, but he's convinced they gave him flavored milk with attitude. He starts comparing it to the one he had last week, saying that one had real integrity. He's shaking the cup, talking about viscosity, and the straw is making those empty slurp sounds of defeat. The rest of the customers are watching like it's a live courtroom drama with extra whipped cream. 2. At a Burger King in Ohio, a woman is waving her soda around like she's holding Exhibit A in a legal case. She's furious that the ice melted and watered it down. She tells the cashier that she's been tricked by science and wants a new drink without ice, but still cold. The employee tries explaining basic physics, but she's not having it. She says the problem isn't the soda, it's the ice department. She starts typing a review while still in line, warning everyone that their ice is too ambitious. The poor teenager at the register is nodding like a hostage while the soda machine is just humming, completely done with humanity. 3. Inside a Chick-fil-A in Texas, a kid is on the verge of tears because his chicken nuggets aren't shaped like dinosaurs. He's holding one up and yelling that it's not even close to a T-Rex. His mom looks exhausted while trying to explain that these are food, not fossils. The worker offers extra nuggets, but he refuses because dinosaurs don't need honey mustard. He starts describing how his friend got a stegosaurus once, and this is discrimination. The entire dining area is watching a small child publicly cancel poultry. The employee just stands there holding a napkin, silently wondering how we as a species got here. 4. At a Taco Bell in Nevada, a woman is standing at the drive-thru window, refusing to leave because the worker didn't smile enough. She says she felt unsafe ordering a burrito from someone who didn't make eye contact for the proper emotional connection. The employee is blinking in confusion, holding a bag of tacos like it's evidence. The lady claims customer service should come with warmth, not blank faces of doom. She's demanding a written apology for what she calls a cold energy interaction. Meanwhile, cars are lining up behind her, honking like a parade of regret. The poor teenager at the window just wants to hand her a napkin and vanish into the salsa packets forever. 5. At a Panera Bread in California, a man just returned his salad because, shockingly, it has lettuce in it. He says he ordered a crouton bowl, not a leaf situation. The employee explains that lettuce is kind of the main event, but he's already lecturing her about false advertising. He says his ideal salad is just bread cubes and good vibes. When she offers to remove the lettuce, he says the damage is already done, because his appetite feels lied to. Other customers are watching this conversation like it's a food documentary about denial. The guy finally walks out muttering about the corruption of green vegetables while clutching his refund receipt like a moral victory. 6. Over at a McDonald's in Chicago, someone is filming themselves complaining that the ice cream machine is broken again. The worker is calmly explaining it's cleaning itself, but the customer says that's a conspiracy theory. He starts ranting that McDonald's keeps the machines broken on purpose to protect the milkshake cartel. People in line are laughing, and he's shouting that this is bigger than any of us. The employee offers apple pie instead, and he screams that it's not about dessert, it's about justice. He leaves promising to expose the truth on TikTok. The machine beeps softly in the background, still broken, still winning. 7. At a Wendy's in New York, a woman is sitting at a table staring at her burger like it's a life challenge. She complains it's too big to fit in her mouth and demands they make smaller burgers for realistic humans. The cashier tells her it's literally called the triple stack, but she says that's false advertising because she didn't expect vertical food. She starts dissecting it with fries like a surgeon while ranting that this is why America has jaw problems. The manager offers a knife and fork, but she says that defeats the spirit of fast food. Everyone's just pretending not to watch her battle the burger like a National Geographic episode. 8. Inside a Starbucks in Seattle, a young woman is furious because the barista called her ma'am. She's 24, and apparently that's an insult now. She demands he readdress her as Miss and redo the drink with respect energy. The barista apologizes, but she starts recording, saying she's documenting age shaming in corporate coffee culture. She says being called ma'am took 10 years off her self-esteem and probably ruined her latte. The other customers are trying not to laugh as she gives a speech about youth representation in customer greetings. The barista just nods, writes "Queen" on her cup, and hopes caffeine erases the memory of this moment. 9. At a Five Guys in Arizona, a man is tasting fries like he's judging a cooking show and suddenly starts complaining they're too salty. He says it's an assault on his taste buds and demands unsalted fries because he's watching his sodium spiritually. The employee offers to make a fresh batch, but he's already giving a TED talk about how fries should be emotionally balanced. He keeps asking for the manager, saying he feels dehydrated just standing near the salt shaker. The manager finally hands him a free water and a coupon to make him go away. He leaves shouting that this was a sodium ambush. 10. At a KFC in Georgia, a woman just exploded a ketchup packet all over her white purse, and now she's yelling at the cashier for giving her aggressive condiments. She says the packet was clearly filled with too much pressure and is considering calling a lawyer for fabric damage. The employee offers napkins, but she says the trauma is beyond cleaning. She's showing everyone the stain like it's a crime scene and demanding they issue a public apology to her handbag. Other customers are trying not to laugh while she mutters about the dangers of fast food engineering. The cashier just wipes the counter and prays for a shift transfer. 11. Inside a Dunkin' in New Jersey, a man is standing in line yelling that his coffee is too hot. He says he shouldn't need protective gear to drink caffeine. The employee tells him it literally came from a boiling machine seconds ago, but he insists the cup is a weapon. He demands a warning label, even though it's printed on the lid. He blows on it dramatically between every word, talking about reckless beverage practices. A lady behind him offers an ice cube and he glares like she's part of the system. He finally throws the cup in the trash like a victory move and storms out, leaving a trail of steam and disbelief behind. 12. At a McDonald's in Missouri, a mom is complaining loudly because the toy in her kid's Happy Meal is for girls. She holds up a pink plastic unicorn and says it's disrespectful to give her son something sparkly. The worker offers to switch it out, but she says it's too late. The emotional harm is done. The boy is already happily playing with it, but she takes it away like she's saving him from glitter. She starts filming a video saying McDonald's is pushing an agenda of rainbows and betrayal. The employee just keeps repeating that the next box has a truck toy, trying to keep a straight face while the kid quietly reaches for the unicorn again. 13. At a Subway in Colorado, a customer is upset because they asked for extra pickles and only got 2. They're standing there counting the pickles out loud on the wrapper like it's an election recount. The worker explains that 2 is extra compared to 1, but the customer insists extra means the sub should be 70% pickle. They start explaining the math of pickled balance while the sandwich slowly goes soggy. The manager offers a small cup of pickles on the side, and they call it a hollow apology. Finally, they walk out, holding the sandwich high like evidence, declaring they'll post the photo on Yelp as proof of cucumber injustice. 14. At a Sonic drive-in in Louisiana, a man just yelled at an employee for making eye contact. He says it felt too personal and might be harassment. The server, still holding the tray of drinks, freezes mid-smile. The guy claims he likes to order in privacy and that looking at him ruined his appetite. The employee apologizes, staring awkwardly at the ground now. He still refuses the drink, saying the damage is spiritual. The people in the next car are recording, trying not to laugh. The man finally drives off without his food, declaring he'll never return to a place that weaponizes eye contact. The employee just shrugs and picks up the untouched milkshake. 15. Inside a Jamba Juice in California, a woman is arguing because her smoothie has fruit in it. She says she wanted it plain. The cashier tries to process what that means while holding the blender still spinning. The woman points at the menu like it's written in riddles. She says a smoothie should be smooth, meaning zero fruit texture. The worker politely explains that's literally how smoothies work, but she interrupts saying it should taste like juice with ambition. She asks for a refund, calling it false blending. The worker gives her one just to move on, while other customers quietly wonder what she thought the word smoothie meant all these years. 16. At a Taco Bell in Texas, a guy is furiously typing on his phone saying the Wi-Fi password doesn't work. He's been sitting there for 30 minutes calling it a scam. He hasn't ordered food yet but claims he's a valued digital guest. The cashier reminds him the Wi-Fi is free and may be slow, but he says that's not the American way. He starts pacing like he's losing signal and faith at the same time. He demands a tech support hotline for the restaurant and claims his online meeting failed because of burrito interference. The worker offers a taco discount. He declines, saying he's here for justice, not lunch. 17. At an Arby's in Oklahoma, a woman is crying because her onion rings have onions in them. She says she thought it was a flavor, not an ingredient. The worker tries explaining the basic concept of onion rings, but she just shakes her head in shock. She keeps repeating that she wanted the fried circle snacks without the plant inside. She demands they start offering onion-free onion rings for sensitive customers. The manager gives her curly fries instead to calm things down. She wipes her tears, saying she'll try to forgive them someday. Everyone else is trying not to laugh as she solemnly dips her fries in ranch like it's a memorial service. 18. At a Burger King in Florida, a guy is arguing with the cashier because she said, "Have a nice day," in what he claims was a sarcastic tone. He says she meant it with attitude, not sincerity. He even imitates her voice mockingly in front of the whole line. The cashier just stands there blinking, unsure how to respond. He demands to speak with the manager about emotional tone violations. The manager arrives and says it sounded fine to him, but now the guy's insisting on a written apology. Other customers are quietly filming because no one believes this is real. The cashier says, "Have a nice day" again, just to see what happens. 19. Outside a Dairy Queen in Arizona, a teenager is melting down because his ice cream cone is melting down. He says it's too hot outside and that the ice cream should adapt to the environment. The worker explains it's 104 degrees, but he says temperature is no excuse for failure. He's rotating the cone under the sun, trying to shade it with his hand like a scientist. He demands they engineer stronger ice cream. The employee offers to put it in a cup, and he refuses, calling that surrender. Eventually, it drips all over his shoes, and he sighs dramatically, saying, "This is what disappointment feels like." 20. At a Subway in Georgia, a customer is furious because they got mayo on their sandwich after pressing "no mayo" on the touchscreen. The cashier checks the receipt, which clearly says "extra mayo." The customer blames touchscreen sabotage, claiming the screen tricked them. They start demanding digital justice and a full investigation. The employee offers to make a new sandwich, but they say the betrayal is deeper than bread. They hold the sub up for the camera, saying, "This is corruption in condiment form." A guy waiting in line claps quietly. The worker remakes the sandwich and hands it over with zero emotion. The customer sniffs it suspiciously before walking out in silent victory. 21. At a Wendy's in North Carolina, a woman comes out of the restroom looking like she just saw a horror movie. She walks straight to the counter holding her drink, saying the bathroom is a national emergency. The cashier looks worried until she starts describing how one paper towel missed the trash can. She says it's disgusting, unacceptable, and proof of moral decline. The manager politely says they'll handle it, but she's already lecturing about standards and sanitation. Customers nearby pretend to scroll on their phones while she gives a full speech on hygiene. She finally storms out, filming the door, swearing to protect the public. The poor janitor quietly mops behind her, whispering prayers for humanity. 22. At an Applebee's in Kentucky, a mom just discovered a fork in her kid's meal and is treating it like a federal crime. She waves it at the server, yelling that her child is 3 and could have been fatally poked by silverware. The kid, meanwhile, is happily drumming on the table with 2 fries. The server apologizes and replaces it with a plastic fork, but the mom keeps going, saying she's emotionally shaken. The manager shows up with crayons to calm the kid, who is now trying to eat ketchup straight from the packet. The mom finally sits down, exhausted, saying this is why she doesn't eat out anymore. The server just nods and escapes to the kitchen. 23, inside a Starbucks in Oregon, a man steps up to the counter with the confidence of someone ordering a spell. He loudly asks for a zombie unicorn latte. The barista pauses, thinking she misheard, but he doubles down, saying it's from the secret menu. He even pulls out his phone to show a TikTok video like it's legal evidence. The barista kindly says that drink doesn't exist, but he accuses her of hiding the truth. People in line are biting their lips, trying not to laugh. The manager walks over and gently says, "We can make a vanilla latte with extra sprinkles." The man sighs, disappointed, whispering that corporate America killed magic, and walks out dramatically. 24. At a Sonic drive-in in Utah, a woman is sitting in her car, holding up her soda cup with the expression of someone who found a bug. The ice cubes are heart-shaped, and she's offended. She says it's insensitive because she's single, and this drink is mocking her loneliness. The roller skate server looks lost while holding her change. The woman keeps ranting that Sonic should offer neutral-shaped ice. A couple in the next car is giggling quietly, and that just makes her angrier. She starts filming her cup for TikTok, saying this is an emotional attack. Finally, she drives off, still muttering, spilling soda on herself, while the employee just blinks and rolls away slowly. 25. In a Cinnabon at an Illinois mall, a man is staring into his warm cinnamon roll bag like he's discovered a crime. He says it's hot, and that's misleading, because the sign says freshly baked, not dangerously hot. The worker explains that freshly baked means it just came out of the oven, but he refuses to accept it. He says heat should come with warnings and sues with his tone. The crowd behind him is trying not to laugh as he blows on the roll dramatically, like he's defusing a bomb. The employee offers a napkin, and he says that's not enough. He finally leaves muttering that Cinnabon needs accountability, while frosting drips onto the floor. 26. At a Dairy Queen in Michigan, a woman opens her burger wrapper and freezes like she's seen a ghost. She finds one single hair and gasps loud enough to turn heads. She holds it up with napkins like a crime exhibit, then stops and looks uncertain. She compares it to her own hair, and the colors match perfectly. The employee walks over ready to apologize, but she waves them away, realizing the truth. She quickly crumples the wrapper and throws it in the trash. Her friends at the table are already trying not to laugh. She pretends nothing happened, takes a bite of fries, and changes the subject like she didn't just accuse herself. 27. At a Chick-fil-A in Alabama, the drive-thru is backed up because one guy refuses to move forward after paying. The worker politely tells him to pull up to the next window, but he shakes his head, saying he doesn't trust it. He thinks if he moves, they'll switch his nuggets for someone else's. The employee tries to reassure him, but he just folds his arms and stares straight ahead. The cars behind him are honking like a traffic symphony. The manager finally brings the bag to his window just to keep the line moving. He snatches it, says "I knew it," and drives away slow like a spy escaping betrayal. 28. Inside a Shake Shack in California, a man unwraps his burger, looks at the paper wrap, and immediately walks back to the counter. He says he asked for it naked. The cashier looks puzzled, asking if he meant no bun, but he says, "No, no paper." The employee blinks twice, trying to process the madness. The guy insists paper ruins the flavor experience and is corporate wrapping manipulation. Other customers start giggling as the cashier just hands him another burger still wrapped. The man unwraps it in front of her with pure defiance, takes a bite, and walks away chewing aggressively. The cashier just sighs and whispers, "I need a vacation." 29. At a Baskin-Robbins in Florida, a teenage girl is near tears because they ran out of strawberry syrup. She stands at the counter, eyes glossy, holding her empty waffle cone like a broken promise. The employee apologizes and offers caramel instead, but she gasps like that's an insult. Her friends try to console her while she stares into the toppings fridge like a widow remembering better times. She says vanilla ice cream without strawberry syrup is emotional betrayal. The worker gives her a free topping, but she shakes her head and walks away slowly. Her friends follow her out as she mutters that the world doesn't care about flavor equality anymore. 30, inside a Chipotle in New York, a businessman takes one bite of his taco and suddenly looks offended. He walks to the counter saying it's too authentic. The cashier is speechless while he explains that he wanted an American-style taco, not something from the source. The cook looks up from the grill with raised eyebrows. The man says he wasn't ready for real flavors at lunchtime. Other customers are snickering as he demands more cheese and ketchup to make it normal again. The cashier adds cheese just to end it. He sits back down, bites again, nods in satisfaction and says, "That's better. Now it tastes like childhood." 31. At a Burger King in Ohio, a woman is standing at the counter yelling that the employee said blessings when handing her food. She's furious, saying she doesn't believe in blessings and that customer service should stay spiritually neutral. The cashier, a teenager who clearly regrets working the breakfast shift, apologizes, but she's not having it. She starts recording, saying this is religious pressure through Whoppers. The manager comes over, trying to explain it was just politeness. But now she's demanding corporate training on non-religious kindness. Customers nearby are laughing quietly while she gives a speech about freedom of expression. Finally, the manager says, "Have a great day," and she yells, "That's passive-aggressive," and storms out. 32. Inside a Five Guys in Kansas, a man is chewing fries and suddenly calls the worker over to complain they're too crispy. He says fries should have emotional softness, not military crunch. The employee offers to make a new batch, but he's already mid-rant about how society lost its touch. He says real fries should bend like memories, not snap like egos. A couple eating nearby starts giggling as he holds up a fry like he's lecturing a college class. The manager apologizes and offers a refund, but he refuses, saying this isn't about money, it's about texture trauma. He sits back down, munches one more fry, winces, and whispers, "Too aggressive." 33. At an In-N-Out Burger in California, a woman is staring at her burger wrapper like it's a crime scene. She says the words "all natural" on the menu misled her because the burger still has meat in it. The cashier stares in disbelief as she explains that she thought all natural meant plant-based vibes. The cook in the background almost drops his spatula, trying not to laugh. She demands to know if the cow was spiritual before it became a burger. The manager steps in gently, saying it just means no artificial additives. She sighs dramatically, says she'll finish it anyway because she's hungry, then takes a huge bite and mutters, "Tastes like deception." 34. At a Dunkin' in Pennsylvania, a man orders coffee online under his unique name, and when he gets the cup, it's misspelled. He stares at it like it's a hate crime. The barista spelled Brickson as Brian, and now he's loudly saying his identity has been erased. He pulls out his phone, showing his driver's license like it's proof of a historical injustice. The other baristas are just staring, tired, sipping their own coffee. He films the cup, narrating about the daily struggles of creative names. Finally, the manager writes Brickson on a napkin and gives it to him. He looks satisfied for a second, then sighs and says, "They still didn't get the vibe right." 35. Inside a Subway in Florida, an older man sits down with his meal and starts complaining that the music is too loud. The song playing is a slow acoustic version of Blinding Lights, but he says it's offensive to his peace. The young worker tries turning it down slightly, but he shakes his head, saying, "The damage is done." Other customers keep eating as he covers his ears with napkins. He demands total silence while he eats, like it's a meditation retreat. The employee apologizes again, but he says he's going to finish his sandwich in the parking lot where freedom still exists. He stands up dramatically, salutes the sandwich artist, and leaves with his foot long of justice. 36. At a trendy smoothie bar in Los Angeles, a woman orders a smoothie bowl and is shocked when it arrives with granola. She stares at it like it's an alien life form. The cashier explains it's supposed to come with granola, but she says she ordered a smoothie, not crunchy chaos. She says the word bowl was misleading and should have been replaced with trap. A group of teenagers in line are quietly laughing as she asks if there's a department for texture refunds. The employee scrapes the granola off with a spoon just to calm her down. She sighs like she's endured tragedy and leaves saying, "People should warn you before adding grains." 37 at a Dunkin' drive-thru in Maryland, a man is complaining that the employee asked if he wanted a receipt. He says the tone was too aggressive and made him feel interrogated. The cashier explains it's a standard question, but he says no one should be forced to make financial decisions under pressure. He's talking through the speaker like he's giving a press conference. The cars behind him start honking as he begins analyzing the psychological meaning of receipt or not. The manager walks out with his coffee and calmly says, "Have a good one." He takes it silently, drives away 2 feet, then stops again to think about what just happened. 38. At a small coffee shop in Chicago, a man is holding his cappuccino and saying it's too foamy. He wanted flat, but now he says it looks like bubble pollution. The barista offers to remake it, but he's in full TED Talk mode about how foam ruins flavor and trust. He's poking the foam with a spoon like he's inspecting snow. A woman at the next table chuckles and he glares, saying, "You wouldn't understand." The barista quietly remakes it, hands it over, and he looks pleased for half a second before saying, "Now it's too flat." The barista just walks away muttering that coffee should come with earplugs. 39. Inside a McDonald's in Nevada, a woman is furious because the kid's meal toy makes noise. She says her kid won't stop pressing the button and it's ruining her mental peace. The worker offers to switch it, but she says it's too late. The damage is already psychological. Her child is in the corner, making the toy sing repeatedly while she complains louder than the toy. Customers are watching the duel between mother and machine. She finally throws the toy in the trash and says McDonald's should make emotionally quiet toys. The kid immediately starts crying, and she blames the store again for toxic sound exposure. 40. At a Panda Express in Texas, a woman is demanding a refund because she found green onions in her stir-fry. She says she ordered no onions, and that includes green ones too. The cashier says those are scallions, but she insists it's just onions in disguise. She calls it culinary deceit. The cook comes out to explain, but she interrupts, saying she's allergic to the idea of onions. Other customers are trying not to laugh while she takes pictures of her food for evidence. The manager offers a fresh meal, but she refuses, saying it's not about the food anymore. It's about honesty. She leaves, holding her takeout box like it's a protest sign. 41. At a Baskin-Robbins in Arizona, a man is glaring at the soft-serve machine because it's taking too long to clean itself. He's been standing there for 15 minutes watching the screen say, self-cleaning mode, arms crossed like he's witnessing betrayal. The worker politely explains it'll finish soon, but he starts muttering about robots replacing humans and stealing dessert jobs. He keeps looking at his watch, sighing loud enough for the entire shop to hear. The employee offers him a sundae instead, but he refuses because he's a man of principle. When the machine finally finishes, he smirks proudly, orders his cone, and says, "See? Human patience fixed it." Everyone else just laughs quietly into their sundaes. 42. At a Wendy's in South Carolina, a man is holding his burger over his shirt, complaining it's too juicy. He says no food should sweat this much. Grease drips onto his white polo, and now he's demanding napkin compensation. The cashier offers extra napkins, but he says that's not enough to fix stain trauma. He keeps squeezing the burger like he's testing for oil pressure. A group of teenagers at a nearby table are barely containing their laughter. The manager walks over with a bib, but he refuses, saying he's not a child. He then declares Wendy's owes him a dry burger option on the menu. He walks away holding his shirt like a crime scene photo. 43. At a Chipotle in New Mexico, a woman just snapped because the cashier said next. She freezes mid-step and says that word made her feel dehumanized. The poor cashier blinks, holding a tortilla. The woman gives a full speech about how customers deserve warmth, not assembly line energy. The guy behind her whispers, "It's literally an assembly line." She ignores him and starts recording her emotional reaction for Instagram. The manager approaches gently, saying next is standard procedure. She crosses her arms, says, "Exactly my point," and leaves without her burrito. The cashier quietly says next again to the next customer, who salutes him in solidarity. 44. At a Subway in Indiana, a man orders a salad and complains the dressing came on the side. He says it's disrespectful to the flavor because now he has to do labor. The worker explains it's meant to keep it fresh, but he says he didn't come here to be a chef. He opens the lid dramatically and pours dressing over it like he's performing surgery. Some spills on the counter, and he sighs like he's suffered. The cashier offers napkins, but he says the emotional mess is worse than the physical one. He finally sits down to eat while muttering that restaurants are outsourcing effort to the customer now. 45. At a Taco Bell in Colorado, a man is pointing at the drive-thru camera yelling, "It's invading his privacy." The employee tries to explain it's just there to confirm orders, but he says it's recording his soul. He covers his face with a receipt and demands to order anonymously. The line behind him starts honking, making him panic more. He says he can feel the lens judging his burrito choices. The manager offers to take his order in person, but he refuses to enter the system. He drives off angrily without food, yelling that Big Taco is watching him. The camera light blinks once more, like it's sighing too. 46. Inside a Baskin-Robbins in Florida, a woman is furious because her milkshake is too thick. She's stirring it aggressively, saying her straw can't breathe. The worker suggests using a spoon, and she gasps, calling it a betrayal of the drink's purpose. She says it's false advertising to call it a milkshake when it behaves like concrete. People in line are quietly filming as she keeps complaining that her jaw hurts from the straw pressure. The manager finally brings her a cup of milk to thin it out. She pours it in like a scientist conducting an experiment, then nods and says, "Finally, the shake has been liberated." Everyone claps sarcastically. 47. At a Five Guys in Tennessee, a man holds up a handful of fries and says they're too thin. He says they look like fast food shoelaces, and he deserves thicker ones for his dollar. The employee tells him they're shoestring fries. It's on the sign. But he says fries should have grip. He tries to stack them like logs and they keep falling over, making him angrier. The manager offers a small cup of regular fries, but he says it's about the principle, not the potato. He leaves muttering that America has forgotten how to cut fries like men used to. The employees just laugh and keep salting fries in peace. 48. At a McDonald's in New York, a woman opens her sandwich and finds a seed in her bun. She freezes like she's found a foreign object. The cashier explains it's a sesame seed, but she says no one told her she was ordering agriculture. She claims she can taste the farm energy and that it's ruining the city vibe. The manager tries not to smile while she picks the seed off, carefully using a straw wrapper. The guy behind her in line whispers, "It's literally in the logo." She glares at him, tosses the seed in the trash and says, "Problem solved," like she just saved humanity. 49. Inside a Dunkin' in Nevada, a man is complaining that the cashier smiled too much. He says it felt fake, like customer service cosplay. The cashier, a cheerful young woman, blinks and keeps smiling out of confusion, which makes him angrier. He says it's manipulative to smile when delivering coffee. The manager walks out mid-laugh and says, "Would you prefer we frown?" The man says yes. Sincerity matters. Everyone in line starts laughing as the cashier purposely frowns and hands him his donut. He nods approvingly, says better, and walks out proudly. The cashier bursts into laughter the moment the door shuts. 50. At a Burger King in California, a woman is upset because her soda refill is the same flavor she ordered. She says refills should come with variety options. The cashier explains a refill means the same drink, but she says that's lazy marketing. She insists every refill should surprise her, like a beverage lottery. The manager offers to change it for her, but she says that defeats the spirit of discovery. Other customers are laughing as she declares Burger King creatively bankrupt. She takes one sip, nods, and says, "Still Coke, predictable," then walks out like she just lost faith in humanity. 51. At a Dairy Queen in Oklahoma, a man is holding a broken taco shell like it's a tragedy. He's standing at the counter, saying the taco collapsed under pressure and emotionally betrayed him. The employee offers to make another, But he says no apology can fix structural weakness. He's lecturing about taco engineering while the manager quietly brings out a replacement. He refuses to touch it, calling it a rebuild without trust. Other customers are giggling while he takes photos for legal evidence. The manager smiles and offers a free blizzard just to calm him down. He accepts, sighs, and says, "At least ice cream never lies," before walking off dramatically toward the exit. 52. At a Wendy's in Illinois, a woman is furious because the cashier called her sweetheart. She says it's condescending and possibly harassment. The cashier, a young woman herself, looks baffled and apologizes. The woman says, "I'm not sweet, I'm assertive," and starts giving a mini TED Talk about modern respect and customer service. People in line are awkwardly quiet as she goes on about verbal boundaries. The manager offers a coupon, but she refuses, saying this is about principles, not fries. A kid nearby whispers, "She's definitely not sweet," and everyone starts laughing. The woman storms off, muttering about filing a corporate complaint, while the cashier quietly mutters, "God bless her day." 53. At a McDonald's in Georgia, a man at a booth says he's realized something terrifying. He's addicted to complaining. He's bragging about how he got 3 free meals this week just by finding flaws. The cashier recognizes him instantly. He starts inspecting his fries with exaggerated suspicion, looking for an excuse. The manager walks over smiling like he's seen this movie before. The man pretends to find an invisible hair, gasps, and says, "Unacceptable." The manager slides him a free apple pie before he can even finish. He smirks, saying, "That's what I thought," and walks out like a villain. The manager sighs, turns to his coworker, and says, "We just fed the monster again." 54. At a Popeyes in Louisiana, a woman is at the counter yelling that her chicken sandwich looks too perfect. She says it feels fake because it's not messy enough to be real. The worker blinks, unsure whether to be insulted or flattered. The woman insists no authentic sandwich should look like an ad photo. She opens it and starts pointing at the even layer of mayo, like it's evidence of fraud. The manager walks over, explaining it's fresh, but she says that's suspicious. A guy in line whispers, "She's mad because it's good." She finally throws the sandwich away, saying, "I can't trust this," while everyone watches silently as if they just witnessed a chicken conspiracy. 55. At a Chick-fil-A in Virginia, a customer is upset because his nuggets came in an odd number, 11 instead of 10. He says it's an attack on symmetry and he can't eat something that feels unbalanced. The cashier offers an extra nugget to even it out, but he refuses, saying that would just shift the imbalance spiritually. Other customers are quietly watching him argue with the math of his meal. He finally takes out one nugget, sets it on the counter, and says, "Now we're even." The cashier stares, speechless. He walks out proudly with his even 10-piece meal, while the 11th nugget sits sadly on the counter, cold and forgotten. 56. At a Taco Bell in California, a teenager finishes his burrito, wipes his mouth, and goes back to the counter saying he wants to file a complaint. The worker asks what's wrong, and he says, "Nothing. I just want the free meal you get for complaining." The employee raises an eyebrow. He insists he's seen it on TikTok. The manager walks over laughing, saying that's not how it works. The kid says he's testing corporate policy for educational purposes. The worker just hands him a sauce packet that says, "You tried." The whole restaurant bursts out laughing. The teen shrugs, says, "Worth a shot," and walks out holding the packet like a trophy. And there it is, 56 fast food complaints so dumb they probably deserve their own drive-thru lane. If you've ever argued with a soda machine, cried over ketchup, or demanded emotional support fries, congratulations, you might be next week's episode. Hit subscribe faster than someone yelling, "The ice cream machine is working." Smash like before someone complains, "The video was too funny for free." And comment below, what's the most ridiculous fast food complaint you've ever heard or made yourself? Winner gets absolutely nothing except my respect and maybe one slightly oversalted fry.